all of that. I'm a small company, really, I can't even afford technology, so maybe when I grow, I'll start using technology. Okay, since you asked, I will tell you why it's important for MSMEs. You know, the interesting thing is MSMEs and smaller companies actually have an advantage in technology. You have a competitive advantage over larger companies. Yes, the larger companies have more money and more resources to implement their technology, but MSMEs have the advantage of speed. And why is speed important? So, you have fewer steps to test new technologies. If you want to implement a technology as a large company, you have to probably go through about 8 steps. You have to get approval, you have to talk to the C-suite, you have to look at the training and all of that. I used to do that as a consultant with one of the big 4 companies. One of the things I did for a living was implement software for companies. And I remember actually most of the companies that we would implement new technologies or new software for, the timeline would be between 1 to 3 years. 1 to 3 years to implement technology. But when I started my business, an SME, and I had to implement a technology to use for sales, it took me 1 week. 1 week. And what that meant was I was able to start getting the innovation and the rewards from the technology, right? So you can do it faster. You can test it. And these days, we have a lot of technology that have free trials. So as an MSME or a business owner, you don't even have to pay. Use free trials. Now, the larger companies probably have a lot of operational risk, governance, things that will mitigate them from even using some of those technologies that have free trials. But as an MSME, you can do that. And so doing that means you can, move faster. And in fact, there was something I was reading that was talking about why big companies like Google and Facebook actually just acquire the smaller companies. Because the smaller companies have used the technologies, they've tested it, and they're like, okay, you know what, let's just acquire them with the technologies. So that's one competitive advantage that you have and why it's important that MSMEs, use technology. Second one is this. Let's face it. As a smaller company, you have tougher competition, you have tighter finances, and you have fewer people. So you have to look for how you are going to compete, and technology is a great way. If you have fewer people, technology can help you do what 10 people would do. I have a friend, that has a business, and she has, of course, WhatsApp and all of that. When you make a request on WhatsApp, automatically there's a chat box that would respond, "Oh, welcome, this is a business account, how can I help you?" On the other hand, when you go to her website, you will see somebody there, a chat box named Neka, or you can even be changing names, you can have 10 of them. They'll say, "How can I help you today?" They're able to, all of them virtual. She's just one person in her business. But with technology, she's been able to put in place things that normally you would need to hire a lot of people for. So as an MSME, you need technology because you don't have the luxury of having 100, 200 people. Same thing, you have tighter finances. You can't invest, you can't make a lot of capital investments. All the fancy IT servers that the bigger companies can use, you may not be able to access that. So cloud computing. What is cloud computing? And again, let me say this. I was going to say this at the beginning. I'm going to try and make this as basic as possible. I know a lot of people, when they hear technology, some people just immediately switch off. So I'm going to be like a teacher. I'm going to make it really basic. Cloud computing, the way I like to describe it, and in my small, not Andela, my other business, which is an SME, I used to tell my staff that, cloud computing is like having an invisible computer. You have an invisible computer that you can access anywhere you are. You don't have to have a computer. You can even borrow somebody's phone. So Google Drive, I can borrow your phone, log in, and I'll see everything that I have in my invisible computer. And so it was one of the things that we used in my business. Instead of having to invest in buying computers, servers, and all of that, we had a Google Drive where we had all our data. And it actually made us efficient and gave us an advantage. Give you an example. FIRS decided to come to my business to audit us. I use the word decided because, out of all the big businesses in Nigeria, I don't know why they chose a small MSME to come and audit. But the interesting thing was, our Google Drive, so we had branches in different parts of the country, but we had all our receipts on Google Drive, scanned on Google Drive. And so everything they asked us for in every location, we could call it up in 2 seconds. In fact, when I got to FIRS, everybody started saying, strictly babes, we have never seen a company like this. And when they finished the audit, we had no liability. Technology was what helped us to achieve that. So, tougher competition, tighter finances, having fewer people makes it literally mandatory for you to use technology so that you can not only survive, but you can grow and scale. Okay, so now that you know why technology is important, like I said, I'm going to try and teach from the time you have an idea, and our previous speaker, Tony, talked about ideation. Every business starts with an idea. Maybe yours, maybe someone else's,